The Baltimore Ravens don't do messy. They don't do flashy. They don't make headlines in May unless it's about OTAs or a quietly restructured contract. That franchise, it's built on discipline, depth, and doing the job, no drama, no spectacle. They've been one of the most stable organizations in the NFL for 2 decades, consistently churning out playoff appearances while keeping the noise low and the winds high. They're not the team you expect to get tangled up in off-season gossip.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
So when rumors dropped that Shedeur Sanders, a 5th-round prospect, allegedly told the Ravens not to draft him, Baltimore did what they always do. They moved on, quietly, professionally. But the NFL exploded. Because who tells the Ravens no? Who looks an opportunity to sit behind Lamar Jackson, one of the league's most elected quarterbacks, a former MVP, and a walking masterclass in dual-threat brilliance, and says hard pass? That's not normal. That's not expected. And in the NFL, when someone goes off script, it becomes an event. Suddenly, Shedeur Sanders isn't just another rookie quarterback. He's the headline. The story broke like wildfire. Sanders had allegedly signaled to the Ravens that he wasn't interested in backing up Lamar, prompting them to look elsewhere in the 5th round. 3 picks later, the Cleveland Browns called his name. And just like that, a 5th-round decision turned into a full-blown saga. Did he really snub Baltimore? Was this orchestrated by Shedeur? Or was it Papa Prime, Deion Sanders himself, pulling the strings from behind the curtain? Cue the chaos. Let's be real. This wouldn't be half the story it is if the last name wasn't Sanders. Because Deion isn't just Shedeur's dad. He's an NFL legend, a Hall of Famer, a head coach, and a one-man media machine. Every move Deion makes is calculated, branded, and broadcast. And now, with his son entering the NFL, the stakes are personal. So the minute this rumor surfaced, people weren't just asking what Shedeur was thinking. They were asking what Deion was planning. Because this felt like strategy. Why Baltimore? When you could go to Cleveland, a team with an unstable quarterback room, a deep hunger for a savior, and no clear long-term answer. Sure, the Browns have a long history of chewing up promising quarterbacks and spitting them out into analyst jobs. Sure, they're known more for dysfunction than development. But maybe, just maybe, that's what makes it the perfect place for a high-profile, highly confident rookie who wants to start now. In Baltimore, Shedeur would have been invisible, a clipboard holder, a developmental story, maybe a name you forget until preseason week 3. In Cleveland, he's the guy. He's a story before he ever takes a snap. And let's be honest, Shedeur Sanders is not here to be anyone's footnote. You could almost hear the chess pieces moving. If the Sanders camp wanted control of a narrative, if they wanted opportunity and visibility and the ability to shape a brand, Cleveland offered something Baltimore never could: space to shine. But here's the gamble. Space doesn't always equal success. Because while Cleveland offers visibility, it also offers volatility. This is a team where quarterbacks go to drown. It's where talent dies under poor schemes, rotating coaches, and fan expectations that pivot between delusion and despair. So for Shedeur, this isn't just a career start. It's a high-wire act. There is no net. He isn't sitting behind Lamar and learning the playbook in peace. He's stepping into a franchise with chaos in its DNA, expected to clean up messes he didn't make, in front of a fan base that has seen every kind of quarterback failure possible, twice. He doesn't get the luxury of a slow build. He has to deliver now. Which brings us back to the question, was this bold or was it foolish? Because, look, we've seen this movie before. Talented rookie, big name, high expectations, messy team. The difference here is the added dimension of family. Because you know Deion isn't watching from the background. He's part of the equation, openly, unapologetically. And that changes the pressure. Shedeur isn't just proving himself as a quarterback. He's defending a family brand. And that brand, it's built on defiance, on rewriting the rules, on taking the path no one else would dare and making it look good. This isn't just about football. It's about legacy. It's about challenging the machine and seeing if you can still win. And maybe that's why Shadur's response to the rumors was so cold, so calm. It doesn't even serve purpose in my life. Translation: I'm not playing your game. I'm not confirming or denying. I'm not giving this oxygen. That kind of detachment, that's either the confidence of someone who's focused on the bigger picture or the arrogance of someone who doesn't see the storm coming. Because make no mistake, the storm is coming. The first time Shadur throws a pick in the red zone, this whole conversation comes roaring back. Every analyst will bring up the Ravens. Every tweet will reference the decision to walk away from stability in favor of stardom. And if he succeeds, if he lights it up, he becomes a player who bet on himself and won. The quarterback who turned down a seat behind Lamar Jackson and carved his own path in the most cursed QB city in the league. But if he doesn't, he becomes the cautionary tale. The what were they thinking guy. The latest name on Cleveland's wall of forgotten talent. And that wall, it's long. So where does that leave us now? At a crossroads between hype and history. Shadur Sanders is yet to play it down in the NFL, and already the narrative is writing itself, not just about him, but about what he represents. Player empowerment, family influence, the rise of the athlete as a brand, not just a performer. This isn't just about a draft rumor. It's about a system being challenged in real time, because for years, players waited for opportunity. They went where they were told. They played the game literally and metaphorically. Now, players like Shadur are rewriting the rules, choosing chaos over comfort, risk over routine. It's audacious, it's dangerous, and it might just be genius, or disaster in slow motion. Either way, the whole league is watching, and if you're not, you're about to be. So here's the final thought. Maybe Shadur didn't refuse Baltimore because he was scared of sitting behind Lamar. Maybe he just didn't want to sit behind anyone. Maybe he wanted to start chapter 1 of his NFL story, not as a backup footnote, but as a headline. And now, he's got it. So what's next? That's the million-dollar question. Or maybe the million-dollar meltdown. Let us know what you think in the comments. Was this move smart? Was it selfish? Is Shadur about to flip the script? Or is he headed straight into the Cleveland curse like so many before him? And if you love this kind of drama, the feuds, the flops, the fumbles, hit that subscribe button. Because Shadur's story is just getting started. And this ride, it's already a wild one. You've got a rookie quarterback stepping into the NFL with a social media following, a legendary last name, a marketing machine behind him, and a reputation for being smarter than the system. You've got rumors swirling that he actively avoided a top-tier franchise. You've got a father who isn't just a father, but a Hall of Famer turned coach turned cultural movement who's been grooming his son not just for the league, but for ownership of his own destiny. And you got Cleveland, of all places, the setting of so many football tragedies, they could rename the stadium the Theater of Broken Dreams. So, let's talk about the why. Why would Shadur or anyone in his orbit choose the Browns over the Ravens? On paper, it's insane. You've got one of the most stable organizations in Baltimore. They've got a system. They've got structure. They've got coaches who actually develop players. You'd be walking into a place where learning is part of the blueprint. You'd sit behind a superstar and soak it in until your number's called. That sounds like everything a rookie quarterback could ask for. But it's also slow, quiet, hidden. And if there's one thing the Sanders brand doesn't do, it's hide. Because think about what Dion has built. This isn't just a sports family. It's a media empire in cleats. Every step Shadur has taken, from high school to Jackson State to Colorado, has been filmed, posted, repackaged, and monetized. He's not just a football player. He's content. He's a narrative. He's a brand. So sitting behind Lamar Jackson for 3 seasons, that's not just a developmental detour. That's a blackout. That's silence. That's irrelevance. And for Team Sanders, irrelevance is death. What Cleveland offers, chaotic, dysfunctional, beautiful Cleveland, isn't just playing time. It's a stage. Yes, it's risky. Yes, the franchise is about as stable as a folding chair on a windy rooftop. But the Browns offer something the Ravens never could. Control. Control over the offense. control over the spotlight, control over the legacy. And let's not pretend like this family doesn't have experience with high-pressure environments. Shedeur grew up with Deion Sanders as his dad. Pressure is breakfast. Expectations are the house rules. So when people call this move reckless, you have to wonder, is it? Or is it just unapologetically intentional? Because this is not a case of a rookie getting caught up in headlines. This is a case of a family laying bricks for something bigger. And that's what makes the whole thing so fascinating. It's not just about whether Shedeur succeeds as a quarterback. It's about whether the entire philosophy behind this journey works. This is the experiment. What happens when a player tries to control his own destiny from day one? What happens when the usual rules sit, learn, wait your turn, get replaced by strategy, brand, and hypervisibility? We've seen this in the NBA. We've seen it in college sports. But the NFL? This is new territory. And Shedeur is walking in with his chin up and his own narrative queued up in the teleprompter. And let's be real, people want to fail, not because of who he is, but because of what he represents. He represents a disruption of the old guard. He represents confidence without apology. He represents a new generation of athletes who don't see themselves as tools of a system, but as partners, maybe even owners of their own careers. And that scares the hell out of people who built their careers by following the script. That's why this story hit the way it did. That's why the idea of Shedeur told the Ravens not to draft him was so explosive. Not because it's unheard of, but because it challenges a hierarchy. The assumption that rookies are lucky to be chosen, not savvy enough to choose. And Shedeur, he flipped that script before he even took a snap. Now, of course, none of this matters unless he delivers. This isn't college anymore. There are no style points. There's no Deion press conference coming to clean up a bad game. This is the NFL. You perform or you disappear. And Cleveland, bless their hearts, is not exactly the easiest place to thrive. Every quarterback who's walked through that tunnel has done so with the weight of the past 2 decades on their shoulders. Quarterback controversies in Cleveland don't wait. They start. The crowd turns fast. The headlines are merciless. The expectations are sky high for someone with Sanders' last name in spotlight. One bad quarter? You're a bust. One off-field quote? You're a diva. One losing streak? You're another jersey on the long wall of disappointment. And the media? Oh, they're salivating. Because whether Shedeur flames out or blows up, it's a story. He's the kind of figure the league can't look away from. A walking headline in cleats. That spotlight cuts both ways. If you thrive, you own it. If you flop, it eats you alive. And Shedeur's calm. This doesn't even serve purpose in my life. Response? That wasn't just about dismissing rumors. That was about controlling the temperature. Keeping the pressure where he wants it. He's been taught, trained really, to speak like someone who knows a camera is always rolling. But there's a difference between controlling the narrative and controlling the game. The Browns' offense won't wait for media training. The defensive lines coming for him won't care about brand building. The NFL doesn't hand out grace to quarterbacks who chose a hard path on purpose. So yeah, this might work. And if it does, it rewrites the book on how rookies approach the league. But if it doesn't, if the interceptions stack up and the locker room starts side-eyeing the cameras and the pressure mounts with each snap, then Shedeur becomes a cautionary tale. Not because he failed, but because he dared to try something different. And maybe that's the biggest risk of all. Not the Browns. Not the Ravens. Not even the spotlight. The risk is that the NFL isn't ready for a player like Shedeur to succeed his way. But if he does, it's going to crack open a lane for every future quarterback who doesn't want to sit, doesn't want to wait, and doesn't want to shut up and be grateful. Because the era of the just happy to be here athlete, that's over. Shedeur Sanders didn't just walk into the NFL. He kicked the door down. So now the countdown begins. Will this be a meteoric rise or a beautifully chaotic implosion? Will Cleveland finally find its savior, or just another storyline for NFL Network to dissect into oblivion? Only one thing's certain. This is going to be entertaining as hell. So buckle up. Watch closely. Because this isn't just a rookie season. It's a referendum on everything we thought we knew about how a quarterback's career is supposed to start. This whole thing, the rumor refusal, the draft day gamble, the Deion factor, it's not just a spicy offseason subplot. It's a test, not just for Shedeur, not even for the Browns, but for the entire NFL ecosystem. Because if Shedeur Sanders can bypass the traditional roadmap and make it work, if he can skip the wait your turn mentality, sidestep development years, and walk straight into the fire with cameras rolling and pressure cranked to 11, then what does that say about everyone else? That maybe the NFL isn't as rigid as it pretends to be. That maybe we've been doing it the right way for so long, we stopped asking whether it was actually right or just convenient for the people in charge. And that's the part that really twists the knife for a lot of people. Because for years, the narrative has been this. Rookie QBs must pay their dues, sit behind the vet, learn the system, keep their head down, be grateful for the opportunity. Don't make waves. Don't rock the boat. Don't act like you're bigger than the shield. But now we got Shedeur Sanders, fresh out of Colorado, reportedly hand-picking his NFL destiny like he's browsing a Netflix queue. And what makes it even more deliciously complicated? There's a chance it works. Because Cleveland, for all its flaws, isn't hopeless. The roster isn't terrible. The offensive weapons aren't bottom of the barrel. The fans, while jaded, want to believe. They want someone to rally behind. They're desperate for a quarterback who doesn't fold under pressure, who doesn't treat the job like a stepping stone, who isn't just the next name in the jersey graveyard. If Shedeur gives them even one game with swagger, command, and a few highlight-worthy throws at crowd, they'll go feral. And if he stacks a few of those games together, he'll own the city. But let's not romanticize it too fast, because it won't be long before the pressure stops being theoretical and starts being physical. NFL defenses don't care about your personal brand. They're not watching your YouTube series. They're watching tape. And if Shedeur shows even the slightest hesitation, the slightest weakness, they'll find it. They'll expose it. They'll feast on it. And that's the part no media strategy can fix. This isn't college. This is the pros. The speed is different. The schemes are brutal. And no matter how many cameras are pointed at you, if you can't move the chains, you're out. No second chances. No PR campaign. Just bench. And you know who else knows that? Deion. Don't get it twisted. Deion Sanders might be flashy, but he's not stupid. He's played this game. He knows what it takes to succeed. He knows Shedeur is walking a tightrope with no harness. And still, he clearly believes the risk is worth it. That says something. Whether you love him or roll your eyes every time he posts a clip, Deion isn't just a football dad with a Wi-Fi password. He's been carefully shaping this moment since day one. From the choice to coach at Jackson State, to bringing his sons with him to Colorado, to building an entire ethos around doing it your way, the Sanders strategy has always been about ownership. Not just of the ball, but of the moment. And now, that moment has arrived. So what happens if Shedeur struggles? What happens if the confidence turns to chaos? You already know. The media will turn. The same analysts who smirked and called the Ravens story arrogant will drop essays titled, Why Shedeur Was Never Ready. The think pieces will pour in. The vultures will circle. And the told you so-s? They'll echo for months. That's the danger of playing the main character. When the spotlight's always on you, there's no such thing as a quiet failure. But that's also what makes the stakes so intoxicating. Because the other side of this, the side no one really wants to admit could happen, is that he's actually that good. What if Shedeur's poise, mechanics, leadership, and raw ability are NFL ready right now? What if the Sanders plan is less of a stunt and more of a prophecy? Think about the narrative if he hits. The fifth-round pick who said no to Baltimore, said yes to Cleveland, walked into the league like he owned the place, and made it look easy. The quarterback who turned down a mentor role behind Lamar Jackson and instead became the Browns' new face of the franchise. That is legacy building. That's not just viral. That's historic. And it would completely reshape how young quarterbacks approach their careers moving forward. You'd have players demanding agency, choosing fit over tradition, challenging front offices to actually listen to their prospects instead of treating them like chess pieces. You have kids with vision, not just dreams. But all of that is a giant if, a massive gamble with sky-high risk. Because again, this is Cleveland. the Bermuda Triangle of quarterback careers. Even the most talented players have landed here with hope in their eyes and walked out with their confidence shattered. Good coaching changes, offensive line injuries, questionable front office decisions. It doesn't take much for the whole thing to spiral. So Shedeur has to be more than talented. He has to be unshakable. The margin for error is slim. The expectations are massive. And the minute the Browns go down 0-2, that pressure cooker goes full boil. And let's not forget the wild card in all this. Teammates. Locker rooms are ecosystems. They know when someone's been crowned early. They know when someone's getting special treatment. And if Shedeur walks in with cameras following him, headlines already written, and a father figure who might weigh in on X or worse on first take, you better believe there's going to be tension. Winning cures a lot of that. Losing pours gasoline on it. So what happens if the Browns start rocky? Does the locker room rally around the kid, or start whispering about favorites and media darlings? And does Shedeur have the leadership, not just the talent, to navigate that? Because being a quarterback in the NFL isn't just about arm strength and film study. It's about control of the game, of the huddle, of the room. And right now, Shedeur Sanders has walked into the biggest, loudest room in the league, and the whole world is watching to see if he can own it. So what are we left with? A rumored refusal, a polarizing draft decision, a chaotic franchise, a high-profile family, a hungry media machine, and at the center of it all, a rookie quarterback with everything to prove. Is it arrogance? Is it vision? Is it the start of something revolutionary? Or the next episode in the long-running series titled Quarterbacks Who Thought They Could Fix Cleveland? Either way, it's real. This isn't speculation anymore. This is an off-season fluff. This is game time. And one way or another, Shedeur Sanders is going to become a defining story of this NFL season, not because of single rumor, but because he walked into a league built on order and dared to do it his way. If he pulls it off, we'll be talking about this for decades. If he doesn't, well, there's always a 30 for 30. So what do you think, confidence or chaos? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're riding the Sanders roller coaster with us, hit subscribe because we got front row seats. And trust me, the drop hasn't even started yet.